Well, did you know that 1 in 4 kids in Los Angeles County struggles with hunger? Eating healthy, balanced meals is essential for kids to learn and grow. That's why Anthem Blue Cross and Common Threads have teamed up to help schools across the country learn about healthier food preparation. Here in Los Angeles, they're joined by the LA Sparks and will provide education, recipes, and knowledge to students and families about healthier meal options. Visit anthem.com/ca/sparks to learn more. Anthem Blue Cross is the trade name of Blue Cross of California.
New on Curiosity Stream.
I'm James Burke. I'm going to take you on a journey through time.
James Burke's visionary series returns, reimagined for our time.
Now, this is all uncharted territory.
The Washington Post hails Burke as one of the most intriguing minds in the Western world. The New York Times raves he careens from one great moment in history to another.
Where do we want to go from here?
Experience all new Connections.
So what's the next connection?
With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at CuriosityStream.com.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm GiGi, flying solo, and big news. I'm going to be flying solo from here on out because Fruit Loop has decided the time has come to put all of her time and energy into her Christian ministry for victims of domestic violence. And as long as I've known Fruit Loop, I've known her heart has been in the mission field. We knew that the day we started this podcast, and we kind of knew this day would come, and things are taking off for her. And she's actually going to put out a video later where she just wants to thank you guys for a fun 2 years. And so where do we go from here? Well, I'm not going anywhere. I plan to keep moving forward. The content will stay the same. I'm going to try to get maybe some guests on, do some more lives, that kind of thing. And hopefully you'll stick with me. I know that we will lose some listeners who love the dynamic, but we still, and I say we as me and all of our listeners that Fruit Loop and I have built up over the last 2 years, we still want to travel that long road to justice. So expect the facts. Nothing is going to change in that area. We just got started on this Vallow Daybell Mega Series. A long way to go with that. And then we have a couple of trials coming up to cover. So it's going to be busy. And we wish Fruit Loop the best in her future endeavors. And I am 100% cheering her on because I've known her 30-something years, and I know this is where her heart is. And so it's just life. Life changes, and things just don't stay the same. So picking up, here we go. Yesterday, we were not able to do an episode, but there was a filing by the prosecution about consumptive DNA testing, which means, as you can kind of guess, it's going to take up the whole sample. So the prosecution is wanting to test some very key items in this case. And it includes hair on duct tape inside a body bag reported by Rexburg PD to have been used to transport the remains of J.J. Vallow. The next one, and I'm very interested in this, ridge detail on the adhesive side of tape reported by Rexburg PD to be associated with J.J. Vallow's body as described for trace or touch DNA. So essentially, we said this a year and a half ago or a year ago when they found the bodies and we found out about the duct tape that somebody's going to leave some evidence on that duct tape. It's impossible to use duct tape in a crime scene and not leave something on there. And if you watch Forensic Files, you know this because I think I've seen every episode, and every episode where duct tape comes in, it's what nabs somebody. So they also want to test some small and dark spots on the handle of a shovel and also a pickaxe reported by Rexburg PD to have been recovered from a garage or a barn. Now, we know that Tylee was dismembered, and I've often wondered where that happened. And the only thing that I can come up with is that barn. It says here the state does not intend to consume each of these spots, but to consume a sufficient amount to determine if they contain human DNA and or any profile. They want to test swabs of tape, which are areas associated with items 11 and 13, evidence identified in report number 13, which means nothing to me. That's all very technical, and we don't have that information. And the last thing that they want to test are swabs reported by the Rexburg PD to be from Joshua J. Vallow's right hand fingernails and reported to have been obtained during his autopsy. And a lot of people have wondered why it took this long to test this stuff, but it goes back to Lori being incompetent. So her defense team could not file anything on her behalf while she was incompetent. And I think that's probably the reason we're seeing this just now coming back up. I expect the defense is going to totally object to this. We'll have a hearing on that, kind of sooner than later. And so we're just going to jump back into the document dump, the mega series. We left off where Charles had come back home. His truck was missing. She had taken $35,000. And I went over the body cam footage of when he returned home, only to find he had been locked out. But here's my thing. I was reading the document dump yesterday, getting stuff for the series. I mean, it's nonstop. It's been 12 to 14 hours a day for weeks getting this stuff together. And, you go and we're fast forwarding a bit in the case, but if Lori was so sure that all this stuff was true, why was she so terrified of Charles and Adam confronting her? That goes back to my whole she's not crazy thing. But if she truly believed in all this stuff, why was she so afraid? Anyways, back to where we left off, January 31st, 2019. So at 7:25 a.m., Charles texts Lori, "Your phone is active. I want no trouble. Just let me have my truck and clothes and I'll leave. And I have no money. We have to pay the rent tomorrow. What should I do? Will you let us use some of your money you took? Otherwise, I'll have to call Peter and tell him we'll be late. Please don't go to work today. Your recommend has been suspended." So we know that her sister Summer was keeping her updated on a lot of stuff throughout this year of 2019. So at 8:55 a.m., Summer texts Lori. She says he talked to Jeff and Mimi this morning. I think Mimi is their mother. I believe Jeff is her husband. And told them that you left him and that he called the police. And if they track you down, they are to take you in for a psych eval. He told Mimi that he had someone from the stake presidency listening in on a conversation you had with him where you told him you would kill him and that you're married to Moroni and whoever was listening was going to have your recommend suspended until they talk to you. So I just want you to know what we're hearing on our end. I just want you to know that I support you 100%. I'm here if there's anything I can do for you to help. The fact he would try to get your recommend suspended shows extreme evil and malicious intent. I know you have help from the other side. I know you're being inspired to know what to do, and you are prepared to do your mission. I support you. I love you. I'm here for you. I'm sorry you have to go through all this crap. If you guys remember, Lori had very quickly, after she texted Charles, or maybe even before, said, "Hey, if Charles texts you, don't respond back." And remember, she had told them he had been cheating and supporting two women. And so you see how her family obviously believed everything she said. So at 9:09 a.m., same day, while Lori is inside taking JJ to school, Charles gets Lori's purse from her car. And he did it really to force her to stay there and be picked up for that psych hold that he had gotten the order for late the night before. But Lori had an extra set of keys. And so Charles actually finds the hotel that Lori is staying at. And the exchange with police is caught on body cam. We have it on our YouTube page. You can find it. So this is before JJ gets out of school when he has this interaction with the cops. And there's a female cop there and a couple of male cops. So the female cop asks, "What's going on? Why is she staying here and you're not with her?" So Charles says, long story short, she's had a break from reality. And he asks the cop if she's LDS. And she says yes. So Charles says she thinks she's married to Moroni. She's had multiple probations and she knows when the second coming is happening. She says she meets Moroni and Jesus Christ face to face in the temple every day. He says he's tried to support her as best he could, but it's gotten really bad lately. And he tells her about Ned Schneider, who has supposedly taken over his body, according to Lori and Chad and all the wackadoodles. And she said, "I'm going to kill you. You're going to be murdered today or tomorrow, and I can do it with my priesthood powers." he tells the female cop she does priesthood blessings, and the female cop's like, "Who's Nick Schneider?" And Charles says, "Well, that's who I'm supposed to be." He says, "I have a 6-year-old son who has special needs and he's in school, but she knows I'm here, so she will go get him." And the female cop asks what kind of car Lori's driving, and Charles says a black Infiniti, which is actually registered to him. And he says he's looked in the parking lot, the car's not there. The other cop asks for the license plate of the Infiniti that Lori is driving. So Charles tells him, and then he also adds on there, it's a handicap plate for JJ. And we learned in the past that JJ maybe sometimes would take off in parking lots, which, as we know, is not safe. So Charles says he's going to go ask if he can go inside Lori's room, and he'll be right back. So at this point, the female cop is on the phone talking to someone, saying they haven't been able to get a hold of her and they're waiting on them for paperwork. And waiting on them, I believe, kind of watching this, they're waiting on other officers to bring them that paperwork. So once she's off the phone, Charles is still inside that hotel. And she asked the other cop standing there, well, if his truck is gone, how did he get here? The other cop's like, I have no clue. So she asked where Charles went, and the officer said to see if he could get into that room. And she says, Lori wants to marry Moroni. That's perfect, fine, and dandy. It's not as bad as the UFO thing. And I guess she's referring to another call where you had a crazy spouse. Man, I tell you, cops must see and hear some crazy stuff. I would not want to be in their shoes. Real quick, going to take a break for this week's paid sponsor. Take action today for a healthier tomorrow with Everlywell. Their at-home lab tests and vitamins and supplements can help you get the knowledge and support you need so you become a healthier you. Everlywell is digital healthcare designed for you, all at an affordable and transparent price. With over 30 at-home lab tests, you'll be able to choose the test that makes the most sense for you, get the answers you need like the women's health test or food sensitivity test. Everlywell is digital healthcare. It's so easy. The results come to your phone as soon as they get it. They also have high-quality vitamins and supplements to support your overall health. You can choose from a variety of options, including vitamin D3 and omega-3 fish oil. So here's how it works. Everlywell ships products straight to you with everything needed in one package. To take your at-home lab test, simply collect your sample and use the included prepaid shipping label to mail your test back to a certified lab. Your physician-reviewed results will get sent to your phone or device in just days. Mine was a little low on the female hormone. And you can share the results with your primary care physician, as I did, to help guide next steps. If you order vitamins and supplements, you can start adding them to your daily routine right away. So it's simple. Over 1 million people have trusted Everlywell to support their health and wellness goals, and you should too. And for listeners of the show, Everlywell is offering a special discount of 20% off an at-home lab test at everlywell.com/whattheworld. That's everlywell.com/whattheworld for 20% off your next at-home lab. That's everlywell.com/whattheworld. So let's get back to this body cam video. So Charles comes back out and he explains the money she took. Remember, it was $35,000. He said he never thought she would do anything like this. He says that she has scared the crap out of him. And the female cop asks if he can track her location with his iPhone. And he said that's her phone. So he had possession of her phone, and the cop asked how he got it. And he said it was in her car at the school. He said he took her keys so she couldn't leave, but somehow she had another set of keys and her wallet. He thought it would have the key to the hotel room, which it did. So Charles asks if they can go in the room with him to see if she's there. And the female cop says they're not allowed to just go in there. She says they're waiting on their sergeant since they have a pickup order. And they can knock on the door, but they have to have that paperwork in hand, and then they can take her. Remember, it was supposed to be an involuntary 72-hour hold, which she gets out in a matter of hours, then goes on to brag to Melanie Gibbs she aced the test. Anyways, so Charles explains that here's how he thinks it should work. Lori's going to pick JJ up from school. And then the cops can be there when she does that to take her to Community Bridges. And one officer tells Charles that he needs to be real careful following her around. And Charles says, I'm not doing that. The officer says, well, we're at her hotel. And Charles explains that he's not trying to be irrational. He just wants her to get help. And this is so sad to me. And this speaks volumes. He says, she is my wife. I love her to death. I don't want to hurt her. I don't want her to hurt anyone else. And I mean, looking back, let's see, over 3 years later, you see back in January 2019, Charles knew she was capable of hurting him and other people, including the kids. So the female officer says, she took your car. What are you driving now? And Charles says, a friend's car. And then he said, I don't know where my truck is. She took it. I suspect she took it because she knows where I park it at the airport. I came back last night. It's gone. And he also says all of his clothes are gone from the house. And the cops ask what led up to this, and they ask about any correspondence that the two of them had. And Charles just says her religious stuff has gone way off the deep end. The officer asks when he last spoke to her, and Charles said yesterday when she texted me, we're done. So the officer asked when the paperwork from Community Bridges was filled out, and Charles says last night. I think the order came in a little after 11:30 p.m. And the officer said that those are handwritten and hard to read, and asks what correspondence last led to this report being filed last night. And so Charles says he was on the phone with the bishop listening in, and Lori threatened him physically, and she threatened the kids and said, come get them. I don't care. She said, we won't be here that much longer anyways, which is something that she said to people in Hawaii, something she said to Annie Cushing the last time that Annie visited Tylee. So it's, in her mind, she says she has her God powers. She told Charles, I can kill you anytime I want. And he says it's just irrational stuff. And the officer asks if JJ is the only child they have in common. And Charles says, yes, they adopted him. So the officer says, I think your priority should be there right now. And I'm assuming he meant JJ. And Charles says it is. The officer says, if you don't feel comfortable with her state of mind, find a way to keep him safe. Charles says his plan is to go to his attorney's office to file paperwork for a restraining order. And he says something which is kind of bleeped out about my sister, his grandmother. So obviously speaking about Kay Woodcock. And I think maybe what they were going to do is go to Louisiana for a few days. He says he has some stuff to do in Houston. And Charles says she can have the house, whatever she wants. And again, he says she took the $35,000. She's got the money to last a while. So the officer then says, I want to give you a little advice. Consult with your attorney, but you don't necessarily want to remove the child from the state for too long. And Charles says it won't be long, maybe 4 to 5 days. And the officer says there's two sides to every story. And oftentimes when they contact that other half, they're totally rational with him. And we know Lori's kind of famous for this. The police footage after Charles is murdered, I mean, she seems rational. And outside of the car, oddly enough, no emotion, but rational. Every time we've seen her on any kind of police cam or heard her, including the welfare check, she seems rational. So Charles says that he will tell Lori she's going to Community Bridges. And the officer says you want to be careful not to deny her access to JJ. Charles says he wouldn't do that. All this is about JJ and not about Charles and Lori, which any reasonable parent would assume. So the officer says that the commitment papers aren't arrest warrants and they have to be careful how much force they put into it. So Charles says he's got to go to the bank to try and stop the cashier's checks and tells the cops, I've got $200 and payroll is $8,000 on Friday. Charles says Lori will be at the school in and out to get JJ. And the officer says, if she's as irrational as you say, I would get him out and prevent that from happening. And Charles says he may do that, but it's the only place he knows Lori will be. And he says she needs help. She needs serious help. I want to get her help. I'm worried about her. He also says, I don't think we'll survive this, but she needs help. I think that's the only place we'll find her, which is picking up JJ. And the officer says, if you see her, you can call us. And Charles says, look, if she picks up JJ at 3:45, she's in and out, and it takes you guys 20 minutes to get there. And the officer says, well, we're not going to do a sting operation. And Charles says it's not a sting. Charles shakes all of the officers' hand in a very gentle and kind way, I might add, and says he really appreciates it. And the female officer says, good luck. So this is just something that flew all over me. In the report, the cop says that Charles's demeanor was strange for someone in his circumstances and was more concerned about the legalities about the money she withdrew than her, and he put in quotes, alleged incoherence. In the report, it also says he expressed a desire to leave quickly and handle financial matters at the bank. I pointed out to Charles that he said Lori was unstable. Charles didn't seem concerned with his child's welfare and said the child could stay in school and perhaps we could catch Lori. He left to go to the bank. So that's all with the body cam footage. And you see even the facial expressions of some of these cops, they weren't taking him seriously. And it's really, really sad in hindsight to watch this because we know what ultimately happens and why we're waiting on this trial in January. So anyways, I appreciate you guys. I hope you'll stick with me as we continue to move forward. Wish Fruit Loop nothing but the best, 100% on her mission work, where her heart is. And so if you have any suggestions of what you'd like to see on the podcast with me moving forward solo, drop it in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share. And I'm listening. So hopefully we'll have some guests on, do a lot more lives too. Really quick interactive lives. I think they're fun. So we'll just mix it up a bit, but we're going to keep on keeping on with the same content that you guys know and trust. All right, guys, we'll see you soon.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.